Welcome back everybody, and thank you so much for your patience during my break. I hope you all had a wonderful rest of your November. So this is episode 18 of our 1.16 Minecraft Let's Play series, and today I have decided to address the unsightly torches all over the island. So all this stuff. And the reason for this is that more or less the island looks uninhabited despite us being here for over a year now. And it just doesn't look very good. So I do have some ideas, and the main thing I want to try and add is a small garden here, in addition to a path that connects both the front as well as the rear entrances. That way there's a little bit more continuity on this top part. And then I was also thinking of taking down some of these trees and building in a little bit more foliage on the top of the island, just to give it a bit more developed feel, and maybe a path leading up to that as well. We don't have a ton of space to work with here, so I'll do my best, but that's what I have in mind. And the last thing, even though I really like this oak tree and it's been here quite a while, it doesn't fit. And why is this chain here? Oh, I was thinking of like having an item to make it look like I'm transporting stuff down there, but I never really got to it. And so I was thinking a couple of exterior trees, fairly large in size, would give a lot more flavor and uniqueness to the island, so it doesn't look like the generic survival terrain that was generated here. Because aside from these pathways, really did not do a lot of terraforming, because all of this interior that was replaced with smooth sandstone, this is actually more or less the original cave. Thanks for that egg. Regarding the trees, the custom ones, I was thinking a big one there and then another one to replace the dark oak over there. And then, I don't know, maybe one or two more, depending how this pans out. Well, I need to move all of our kind of special and unique items that have history from this world. I'll relocate those somewhere inside. But yeah, that's what I had planned. Oh yeah, and so not to forget about this project, on the side I'll also continue to make progress here. All we have to do is make 5x5 squares in order to drain the various sections and just keep going and going and going with the sponges, ultimately with the goal of having this dry. But seeing as how that's terribly uninteresting, I'm not going to make anyone suffer through that. So I'll be doing this on the side and periodically update. Perhaps this can be somewhat of a once an episode kind of updated thing where I can share the progress made over here. I would be hard pressed to finish this within a week, even with unlimited free time. So that's what I had planned. Also, I don't have an elytra, so it's going to be a little more awkward getting down here once this is all drained, so I need to start planning that. I was thinking having some sort of water down there and then maybe a bubble elevator right here on the center, just to get up and down from the bottom fairly easily, since I do not plan on getting an elytra anytime soon. Yeah, about the elytra thing, if time permits, maybe I'll talk about why I don't want to get an elytra at this time, or rather why I'm really holding off on getting this. The short of it is that more or less I want to keep exploration a very special thing. Because the elytra allows you to travel such vast distances so quickly, I worry that it will start to dilute the fun of the adventure and also make exploring new terrain less enjoyable, if that makes any sense. Because I still do have a little bit of exploration plans, which I can get to maybe in the next episode, but all that to say, no elytra anytime soon. Oh yeah, and while I was taking the screen cap for the previous episode, I lost all 145 levels, so that happened. Alright, so I'm gonna get to work. I'll do a little bit of draining here before I go about thinking of what I want to do on the island, and perhaps I'll record a time lapse of that, depending how smooth the designing phase goes. We'll see. I'm just happy to be back. Thank you all again for being patient. Alright, time to take down the historic dark oak tree. This thing is really tall. I just really can't believe that it's like over 8 blocks high, or even 10. Let me measure it real quick. Okay, so that's 8 blocks here. So it actually goes 9 blocks up total. Wow. So I'll go ahead and keep the materials aside from the leaves from this tree, since it is somewhat symbolic, even though I did plant it on a whim. But yeah, I'll go ahead and clear out this, as well as the chains and that bamboo over there. and then get to building. I'll take one leaf, just for memorabilia, and whatever apples and sticks it drops. Okay, so quick update, and as you can see, I'm in my freshly made super flat creative world. I wanted to make sure the designs were established in creative mode first before building them. This is not normally what I do, but given that trees are pretty difficult to both construct and deconstruct in survival, I wanted to make sure I got it right. And so the type of tree that I wanted to build and feature on the island is the Baobab. And this tree is indigenous to Madagascar, mainland Africa, and Australia. And there's a couple of reasons why I chose this tree. The first is that I just simply like how it looks, and I've actually tried the juice of the fruit before. Second, seeing as how our environment on the island is a pretty arid climate, I would say, this tree is very much native to dry forest, and so it really fits that vibe, and more or less the aesthetic that I want to go for the island in the long term. And the third reason is that I haven't really seen this tree featured in any survival Let's Play Minecraft series, even though there's a couple of build videos and shorts floating around, and there's also quite a few mods that feature this tree in the savanna biome. Anyways, to start out, I built this prototype here using some concept art from one of those mods, and this was created by Chris Sunderland. What I built, it looks a little too much like an acacia tree, and I am using acacia leaves, so that really doesn't help our case here. This bark doesn't give justice to the color of the baobab wood. It's more of a sandy color in most cases. And so I kept trying and I built whatever this is. I don't know. I started to get distracted clearly. So at this point it was like the evening and I went to bed and I woke up fresh, and then I was able to build this new tree over here. And I'm actually really delighted as to how this turned out compared to the reference pictures, which I'll show here. This is the first time I've built a custom tree, and I've always been intimidated by, I don't know, it looking good. And I have to say that I certainly didn't pick an easy first custom tree. It's difficult to incorporate the wide trunk with these prolonged branches and get the number of leaves right, but I really feel like I nailed it with this build. The key is to only use a few leaf blocks, because otherwise it just looks like a regular tree, but it's still important to capture this crown shape of the top of the tree, even though you don't really see it as much when you're walking down below. I also stuck this redstone lamp in the middle, just so it lights it up at night. Let me show you it at night. Yeah, so I think this really helps just light up the tree and make it appear a little bit more bigger than it actually is, because it's only about 10 blocks in height. Pretty small. And also, because the tree does not have many leaves towards the center of the crown, this has the dual benefit of being able to place these lanterns and light sources such that mobs won't spawn, so hopefully that'll work. So this is the tree that will go into the back side of the island. For this second tree, as you can see, I've only added one light source in the middle. I used far fewer leaves here based on the reference, and I wanted to get this tree a little larger just to have an accurate size of the thing, since these do grow to be pretty big. But certainly we're going to need some lighting and some lamps on this tree as well. I hope this tree is not too big for where we want to put it, but certainly we can accommodate not only the land, but the background as well, terraforming accordingly. But yeah, here's what it looks like from the top. I spared adding leaves here because the top of the crown, it looks like a upside down tree, if you will. I did try to keep this area flat and then just give these tallest appendages little leaf blocks on the top, just to give a little bit more parity in terms of the foliage on top. So yeah, I wonder if I can add a lantern there. Oh, that's nice, actually. Yeah, that's really nice. Okay, so that lights it up pretty well, maybe a bit too much actually, but I think it's the right size. I ended up going with a 2x3 trunk, and right away you can tell that this is like not native to the game, even though it already is this stripped jungle wood. I'm hoping this looks good and doesn't totally obstruct the center hill of the island, but we'll see. We'll see. Overall, I'm really happy with how these turned out. These are really my first custom trees, and of course I used references, but where else are you going to get the inspiration from, right? Okay, so I'll go ahead and build these in the survival world, and I will check back then. Alright, so I have built the tree and I am absolutely loving it. I moved it back because the original oak tree, I think it was right here. It looks more secure over here, and it makes sense because technically there's not really support underneath the ground. If we had the hanging roots, that would be cool to implement there, but alas, we're in 1.16. And the only thing I really changed was I added a block here, so we don't see the redstone torch from below. But overall, I really like it. Yeah, and the acacia leaves, they bring out just like this additional nice color. I do notice that the leaves are a bit asymmetric there, but that's okay. That's fine, it's fine. Yeah, this still looks kind of empty though. I'm not sure what to put here, but I'll brainstorm. I don't know if a garden is appropriate since this is more or less a sand peninsula. Oh, thank you, Raine. So for now, I'll go ahead and clear this tree. And yeah, the large tree is going to be placed right here. So hopefully it reaches the dock, but I'll see. Yeah, I'll see if I need to extend out this landmass a little bit more. If it doesn't prevent the rain from falling us when we're fishing, it kind of defeats the purpose. I'll go ahead and cut this down, and this is another original tree. I feel kind of bad, but gotta develop the island. Let's get another one. Cool. Alright, so I'll get to work and show you the results of that. And by the way, I relocated all of our memorable items of the world down here. So we have like the first wooden tools, iron tools, all that stuff. And I'll go ahead and add that original oak tree and the apple. I am back, and I have built the large tree. I'm pretty happy with it, although I forgot leaves right there. Yeah, it looks pretty good. It feels a little tall when walking by, but I'm okay with that here. It needs to feel grand, and then there's just enough shade to do fishing right here. I did have to move this quite a bit, so this will necessitate some terraforming, of course. Oh, my pumpkin got smashed or something. But otherwise, I think it looks pretty good. The size is reasonable. It's not overshadowing this hill part too much. Yeah, that looks good. And that looks really nice. So what I'll go ahead and do now is clear out these trees, and then start to think of how to best terraform this, and whether or not we're going to need more trees. I'll also start to work on pathing, like so. And try and connect this over with this. But first I'll start to add dirt. That way we can get a sense of what we have to build with, and what will really fit now that the trees will be gone. I'll cut that one down last and also save that. Hopefully it'll look nice at nightfall, while still preventing mob spawning. Actually, let me check up there while it's about to become night. We might need a little bit more lighting up here, but we'll see. Whoa. How rude. I don't think I can reach. In case you're wondering what that slime block is there for, that is where I took the original thumbnail, so I'm going to do like a before and after of the tree and the island, and hopefully it'll look pretty cool. What I'm thinking of doing in the middle is making maybe kind of a sloping vineyard. I don't know if you could do that with slopes, but I do have a small design idea for that. I'm unsure as to whether or not another Baobab tree would look good, and then yeah, then the garden, and then the path. Oh yeah, this is definitely going to need some more light. I think that should do it. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Alright, so I'll start working on the pathing here and go from there. I need to familiarize myself with path building techniques again. I haven't done this in a while. Oh yeah, and lanterns. I really need to design those. So much to do. So much to do. And so little time. Okay, so I have everything ready. I'm gonna go ahead and try and decorate everything and do the terraforming, and I'll make a time lapse of it. I have a couple of path blocks that I was thinking of incorporating around the island just to give things a bit more detail. So podzol, coarse dirt, sand, and even smooth sandstone. Unfortunately, since this is 1.16, we don't have mud blocks or deep slate. Those would look really nice, but we'll make do with what we have. And yeah, hope you enjoy the time lapse after I make a day again. Alright, so that time lapse actually took way longer than I expected. In total, I want to say that was about 6 hours of footage for how much time I spent. Yeah, that's quite sped up at 24x the speed, so yeah. In any case, I built quite a few more trees than I expected, so this one for sure I was going to build, but then I ended up doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more. So I think they turned out alright. As you probably also might have caught, another chicken spawned in the ocean, so we've rescued this bird as well. Yeah, overall, I added a little bit more stuff, but kept it pretty simple. It definitely looks a lot better. And as you can see, aside from these lampposts over here, we really didn't need to resort to designing those. Since all of these trees are amenable to hanging lamps, we didn't really need it. And oh my goodness, is that for real? Oh my goodness. Okay, hold on. Certainly the island could benefit from more details, so like adding more bushes and leaves and like little shrubs like this. But as a whole, I like how it turned out. Definitely could also add more crops. Probably not in this area, but maybe a bit more sparsed over here. Actually, I want to see what the island looks like from afar now. Okay, that looks really, really splendid. I'm super pleased with this. So, in the end, I couldn't really decide what to put here. I just added a couple of these dried up bushes, but if anybody has any nice ideas or like clever things to put here, please let me know in the comments. I would really appreciate that. So I would say 80% of the island is done, but this beach area or raised dune area still needs a little bit of work. I do have an idea of what to put here, but since we're running kind of, I guess, late in time for the episode, it's I think close to 16 to 20 minutes at this point. This will probably have to wait for another episode since I really do want to get this episode out. These were Bob's trades as well. You really managed to get yourself in every episode, don't you, Bob? You also might have seen me dig this out, so what I ended up doing is making the composter integrated with the ground, and so we can just pull the bone meal from here, which I thought was a nice little detail to add to this fairly plain wall. Added a little bit of trapdoors to these areas here, just to kind of show that we're keeping the dirt at bay from a cave-in. I'm still not sure if I want to keep this as kind of a dip, because I could just add another stair here and then another stair here, so that would bring this up to essentially this level, and then we wouldn't have to dip down, since we already do a dip down right there. I could probably stand to add more details in this area, since it's just the jack-o'-lantern, and I don't know, a bench or something would be nice. And even though I mentioned that I don't really like how this build style or this aesthetic doesn't really match here, it does look pretty good with the shaders still. As for what to do in the next episode, I'm not super sure. I mean, we could work on this, and then obviously I'll continue working on the Guardian farm over there. I was considering building out the mine a little bit. I could show you the strip mine down there, and maybe we could decorate that. That's an option. And then also I do want to add, or continue to add, more sea pickles, since dealing with drown during building was pretty painful at times. Yeah, other than that, I think we can call it an episode. So once again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch, especially if you're still with the video. And hopefully we'll find some stuff to do in the next week. I hope you have a wonderful week. Take care, and bye-bye for now.